Howdy, gang! Today marks the Ides of March. Ooh. So, if I may recommend, if you know anyone named Brutus or Cassius or any Roman senators, or maybe any senator at all, you might want to shy away from them today. I'm just saying. I'm also saying the Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I am back once again. This is the Daily Dope, and I am your host, Jeff McAleer. I also happen to be the Grand Poobah of thegaminggang.com. And don't be surprised if you see a little black cat poke her head up on today's show, because I am down here in the Duct Tape Studios, and Smokey, who's on my lap, and Pinky, who is napping right now — I think Pinky's a little under the weather today — are both downstairs here with me. So we might hear them chime in or poke around. You never see Pinky, but you do hear Pinky. You see Smokey on occasion. You don't really hear her too much. Anyway, yes, it is the Ides of March, and those who are familiar with history already know that you don't want to be Julius Caesar on this date, right? Okay. So yes, Brutus and Cassius, they too are honorable men. All right, anybody who gets that quote right off the bat is going to get a big thumbs up. They get a big 0 prize. Hey, Rob Moffat's popping in already on chat. Good day to you also, Rob. How are you? Good to see you coming back on. Hey, I should mention, yesterday's show, I got a couple of things I'm going to talk about, but one of them is going to be a little bit later after I do the news. But I did my unboxing for MBT FGR from GMT Games yesterday, and the sound was way out of sync. And I do not know what may have been going on with that, because I hadn't had a sound sync issue in at least 2 weeks. I always do a quick test before I launch the show, and it seemed like everything was fine. Only thing I think it may have been is there was another one of those Windows updates going on in the background that I have set to not do. I know, it's my computer, but Microsoft doesn't care who owns the computer. It's their operating system, damn you! So anyway, I did have to actually download the video once again, and because I have a pretty decent desktop here in the Duct Tape Studios. It's not a fantastic desktop, and it's okay with doing the streams and things like that. But if I record and do the stream, it throws a weird out of sync for the audio, where it's in sync, then it's out of sync, then it's in sync, it's out of sync. So I don't actually record the videos. So when things are wrong with the audio, I have to actually wait for YouTube to render it, then download it, fix the sound, and re-upload it as a brand new video. So anybody who had been like, oh yeah, hey, liked the show and gave it a thumbs up or commented on the show right after watching it yesterday, all that disappeared. Sorry. So anyway, as I mentioned, Rob was chiming in saying hello. It looks like he's enjoying another day off from work. Cool beans. There is chat available. Chat is available through Twitch as well as YouTube. It's not on screen. So that way I just keep some of the oddballs away from just throwing out some bizarre comments. So yes, Smokey, where are you going? Are you leaving? You staying? You staying? Just trying to climb up. Come on, why don't you say hello, everybody? Oh, hello, everyone. Yes, I know. Can't really see her past my little host tag, so let's... Hello, baby. Yes. Got my little mascot here. She's my sweetie. Yes, you're a good kitty. Pinky's good, too. She's just not my cat. And Pinky's way, way older than Smokey. Smokey's only about 6. All right, so if you have not tuned in before, welcome aboard. As you can see, I am very chatty. This is not your usual tabletop gaming show or geek culture show. I tend to pontificate and go off on tangents on things. But thank you for joining me, and I do have some news today. I'm a little surprised that there is not as much tabletop gaming news popping from Gamma. I know the trade show hadn't really officially started yet, but from my experience when I covered Gamma a few years back, when it wasn't just everybody in the gaming media could show up, there were already things popping early ahead of the show opening, because of course you're getting some of that inside dope behind the scenes from the various different game companies. All right, Smokey left, and thank you, Smokes. I got one of your hairs blowing up my nose. Thank you. Anyway, but I was kind of surprised that there wasn't as much news popping right now. I'm sure we'll see more tonight, tomorrow, so on and so forth. Today I'm actually going to review a very unique role-playing game, and it is Amazing Tales. It is written by Martin Lloyd, and it is self-published. It's not from some big company or anything like that. And this is actually the print-on-demand edition from Drive-Thru RPG, and I was very surprised. This is very, very nice. So I am going to be reviewing that in just a bit, and then I'm going to tackle the news, and then I'm going to follow up a little bit on something I was talking about yesterday, which I believe some folks may have kind of misunderstood where I was coming from. And I think mainly it's because they don't usually watch the Daily Dope. So there's things that I don't necessarily want to rehash constantly on a weekly basis, but I will kind of make mention of that. Anyway, so let's move on to the news. And the first news piece, I am really surprised there's not much cooking out there about it, because this was originally going to be a Kickstarter, and then Night Models decided that they were not going to go through Kickstarter. They were just simply going to do a pre-order for the Harry Potter Miniatures Adventure game. Yes, the pre-order began yesterday. And if you watched yesterday's show, I said, well, you know, there were some big news items that I left out because I wanted to focus a little bit more on wargaming news, because Wednesdays are Wargame Wednesdays. So I didn't talk about this. But it's weird, no one else is talking about this either. But I do have the dope. Night Models is proud to present the Harry Potter Miniatures Adventure game. Oh yeah, and why is my teleprompter not working? Alright you, what is going on here? What in the world is going on? Alright, let's try this again. Wow, this is weird. The teleprompter is not working. And I do not want to have to sit here just kind of going down. Alright, give me a second here. This does not make any sense whatsoever. Alright, doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. So you're looking at the models. They're all really cool. Alrighty, now I think I got it fixed. Hey, it's the only part of the show that I script is the news, so I'm really not used to seeing the teleprompter not work. There's a first for everything. Hey, you know, it's a live show. What can I tell you? Anyway, Night Models is proud to present the Harry Potter Miniatures Adventure game. This brand new board game allows players to immerse themselves in J.K. Rowling's wizarding world like never before. In this game, each player takes control of a group of witches and wizards from the Harry Potter cinematic saga, each represented by a finely detailed resin miniature sculpted to exacting detail with collaboration with Warner Brothers. Each 35mm miniature is produced in high-quality resin. Hey, I said that. Making it ideal for collectors, painters, and gamers alike. Yes, Rob, that's right. Please stand by. Technical difficulties. In fact, I swear I have been sitting there thinking about, hey, I should take the technical difficulties image from The Simpsons where it shows like the drunk cameraman and then put some of that that elevator music in the background for when I have to do it, please stand by. But the thing is, we don't see that many problems pop up. Anyway, Rob, since you're watching, let me know if everything's in sync, because I will address that if it's not. Anyway, let's keep talking about Harry Potter. During the game, players must outmaneuver their opponents across beautifully illustrated game boards representing many of the iconic locations from the wizarding world, such as Hogwarts, the Chamber of Secrets, and the Forbidden Forest. Players must explore these environments, resolving challenges and quests in order to secure victory. The Harry Potter Miniatures adventure game gives players complete freedom to form their own group of witches and wizards. Players can collect their favorite models and equip them with potion and artifact cards, and of course, a dizzying array of spells. The variety of options at your disposal means no two games are going to be the same. The Harry Potter Miniatures adventure game is easy to learn and fun to play. Its free-flowing, dynamic gameplay means you'll want to return again and again to unleash new characters and abilities and perfect your tactics. So I would have to say, thanks, Rob, for letting me know everything is working. Sound is in sync. That was a bummer yesterday. Finished up the show. There were quite a few people who were watching, and there was some chat going on too. And it kind of stunk because when I have to re-upload the video, YouTube actually keeps kind of a feed of the chat so people watching the video can see the chat window, what was going on. All that was lost. Anywho, I am kind of surprised at the pricing for the Harry Potter Miniatures adventure game because I thought the core game would be more expensive. So right now you can pre-order the core game, which includes 13 detailed, ready to paint and assemble. Keep in mind, some of these you're going to have to put together yourself. 35mm scale miniatures, as well as all the game components for $81.50. And that's based on the exchange rate right now, because I swear Night Models is out of Spain. 95% positive they are in Spain. And I wish I had bigger images because these sculpts are fantastic. They are awesome. I have never seen any Night Models, I should say, up close, but they look fantastic, and they have some seriously talented painters painting up their miniatures too. Do want to mention there are a variety of options as far as the different miniatures. You can go all in, get the core game, every miniature that's available right now, which by my count looks to be about 45 miniatures, for $305.50. Yes, boing, people's eyes are popping out of their skulls at that price. But as I mentioned, the sculpts are really nice. And Night Models, they do a Batman miniatures game and a DC Universe miniatures game. Granted, those miniatures tend to have some of them have a little bit of like a diorama aspect to the base. These don't look like they do, but they're usually quite a bit more. So you're looking at less than $10 a figure. They're a little bit larger scale than 28mm or 32mm like we usually see in most games. And normally the Night Models are more than $10 each. So I do want to float that out there. I have to also point out that there is VAT, so there is tax, as far as I understand. Plus, it would be coming from Spain, so you have to pay for shipping. Boo. So the big question is, why did Night Models, after kind of previewing this for quite some time now, it's got to be at least 6 months, why at the last minute, we're talking a couple of days before the Kickstarter was going to launch, why did they change their mind, and how come no one's really talking about it? So, once again, just my opinion, floating this out there. I do that on this show. I share my opinions. For one, I think Night Models probably made the right choice of just going with a pre-order because, number one, then they don't have to pay that 10% or more to Kickstarter right off the top, which I believe has brought the cost of the core game down. Like I said, I thought it was going to be about $100, but it's $81.50, so the price has gone down a little bit. Also, because I'm going to take a stab that shipping was not going to be included in the Kickstarter, that it would be an extra, they probably thought, well, that might turn some folks off, because there are people who do support Kickstarters who, if the Kickstarter originates outside the United States, when they see international shipping, they're like, whoa, hold on a minute. So I think that's why they went in this direction, because I know for a fact thousands of people viewed my news piece about the Harry Potter Miniatures adventure game. So I'm assuming that everyone else who was kind of covering the lead up to the Kickstarter were getting just hammered on that post too, getting tons of people looking at that post. So which leads me to wonder, why aren't really the gaming companies out there talking about it now? Because the pre-order started yesterday. It's available. You can pre-order it. I don't know. On one hand, I think some of these companies, maybe they had some sort of advertising arrangement with Night Models for when it launched. They were going to run ads. And now, since Night Models isn't doing a Kickstarter, maybe they decided not to do advertising on those sites. And people are upset. I don't know. I have no idea. But I thought it's very, very strange that I am not seeing anyone really talking about this pre-order. Everybody was talking about the Kickstarter. Now it's not a Kickstarter, and mum's the word. I have no idea. All right, so today ends in a Y. So that means there has to be some Renegade Game Studios news. Okay, I'm kidding. Hey, why in the world did that come up like that? That's weird. What's going on? Oh, that's no good. Boo. All right. All right, everybody. Everybody knows Renegade Game Studios. Their website is renegadegamestudios.com. Pretty simple, right? But I like to always, I don't know, something's weird there. Today's been an oddball day so far. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Anyway, sorry about that slide looking unlike everything else. Anyway, but Renegade Game Studios, I should say, have announced there is another release on the horizon, although this one is coming in fall. And I have the dope. Renegade Game Studios and Frosted Games are pleased to announce a partnership to release upcoming games in English. The first game under this new agreement will be Reichholt, designed by Uwe Rosenberg, with serene and beautiful art from Lucas Segman. Guessing on that one. Reichholt will release at Spiel in Essen, Germany this fall. What about the game? Growing tomatoes, lettuce, or carrots on Iceland? Question mark. Wouldn't it be in Iceland? It wouldn't be on Iceland, right? We don't plant corn on the Midwest of the United States. It's in the U.S. I don't know. It's their news release, not mine. Anyway, what an absurd idea. But still, whoever had that idea was a genius. Geothermal energy on the island allows you to cultivate the most unexpected fruits and vegetables, an oddity that no tourist would want to miss. You're not the only farmer in Reichholt who is looking to make a fortune out of this, however, so you better be quick. The tourist season in Reichholt is short, and there are more people coming every year for your tomatoes. Making use of the right people and having the right vegetables at the right time will give you the advantage you need to win the race. Reichholt is for 1 to 4 players and will play in around 30 to 60 minutes. This is pretty far out. There isn't even, actually, I shouldn't feel bad about not having, excuse me. Smokey, come get your hair that's on my nose, you silly cat. I shouldn't feel too bad about not having the domain name on the slide because actually Renegade hasn't even posted up a game page for this yet. But there's no age range info yet, no MSRP info yet. I will take a stab. We're probably looking at $50. That is my guess, about $50, because that tends to sort of be the sweet spot for a lot of Renegade titles. But I have to admit, I don't know, is farming in Uwe Rosenberg's blood? I don't know, did he grow up on a farm or something? Because if you know his work, like say, oh, I don't know, Agricola and other titles, a lot of farming games. I'm not saying they're bad, don't get me wrong. I actually play Agricola on my iPad. I'm not so great at it, but I do play it on my iPad. So anyway, once more info is available about Reykholt, maybe I'm getting that right, I will bring that to you. All right, moving right along. It's Thursday, it's RPG day. I like to do RPGs on Thursdays. So let's do some RPG news. Because I've got some new news from my buddies over at Cubicle 7 Entertainment. Yes, the latest source book for Adventures in Middle-earth for 5th edition, Dungeons and Dragons, because I can say that, they can't, is now available for pre-order, and it's also out in PDF. That's right, the Rivendell Region Guide takes your adventures west across the Misty Mountains to the last homely house, expanding play into Eastern Eredor, covering not only Rivendell itself, but Angmar, Fornest, Mount Graham, Tharbad, and everywhere in between. And of course, for all the Tolkien fans out there, if I have mispronounced something, it's because I don't necessarily recall those from the books or the movies. Maybe it's from the Silmarillion, because I was never a fan of the Silmarillion, and I never finished reading it. Anyway, there are also rules for creating your own magical treasure, playing High Elves of Rivendell, turning the baleful Eye of Mordor on your company, and facing more powerful adversaries than ever before. This hardcover 144-page full-color supplement includes background for the last homely house, Rivendell, and the Sanctuary of Imladiris, write-ups of the characters that might be encountered from Elrond and Arwen to Glorfindel and the White Council, new fellowship undertakings, a history of Arnor, Angmar, and the Rangers of the North, a region guide to Eastern Eredor, including the Barrow Downs, the Trollshaws, and Angmar, new adversaries to face, including Entons, Hillmen of Rhudaur, and the toughest troll of them all, the Queen of Castle Hill, or, as I like to call her, my girlfriend. A bestiary of undead creatures from bog soldiers and barrow wights to the Lord of the Nazgul himself, the Witch King of Angmar. Rules for powerful adversaries, allowing you to customize any monster to provide a challenge for even the most heroic of adventurers. There's also a set of optional rules, the Eye of Mordor, to track how much attention the enemy reserves for the company. And when I say company, I'm not talking about Cubicle 7, it's your company of characters, your heroes. There's also rules for adding magical treasure to your campaign, including dozens of ready-made artifacts, some famous, others less so. There's a new playable heroic culture, the High Elves of Rivendell. Right now, you can pre-order the 144-page sourcebook from Cubicle 7 for $39.99, which will also include a copy of the PDF. You can grab the PDF right now from Drive-Thru RPG for $19.99. I think folks who visit thegaminggang.com and folks who watch The Daily Dope know that Cubicle 7 is one of my favorite companies. I got a lot of companies out there. I really, really enjoy their work, as well as the people who work for the company. And I have to say, the One Ring / Adventures in Middle-earth is fabulous. It really is very, very good. Maybe one of these days I'll sort of do maybe a Thursday show where I kind of talk about like the whole series of books. And if you are a fan of J.R.R. Tolkien, you really owe it to yourself to pick these up, even if you don't play role-playing games. All right, moving right along. Another company that seems to have news, on a daily basis is Modiphius Entertainment, and they have revealed the first source book for the Cold and Dark RPG is available. And I've got the dope on both the core game as well as the new supplement, Better Worlds. Dying is easy, living is hard, and pain is a given. Centuries from now, mankind lives on in the Sirius galaxy. Hey, I wonder if they get free radio. Free satellite radio there. Huh, I wonder. I'm just joking. Sirius Galaxy is an enormously vast and dense system of stars. It's a greedy industrial society run by corporations and the governmental industrial complex. The onslaught of strip mining has stirred something terrible best left buried and forgotten. The sci-fi universe of Cold and Dark is a frightening and violent world. In the reaches of space, the protagonists have to face known as well as unknown horrors. Players take on the roles of people who have chosen to live on the edge as site engineers, corsairs, and deep space salvagers. Only out there in the big empty, on the verge of disaster facing the horror, do they flourish and realize their full potential. This is science fiction at its darkest. For hundreds of years, mankind has terraformed and populated the Sirius galaxy. Some worlds are never known as their destiny is to be destroyed as part of the GIC core harvester machine. There are 19 official established star systems, and this book explores them all. So how about some info about the source book? Better Worlds is a source book for the horror science fiction game, you guessed it, Cold and Dark. It gives a deeper and much more encompassing look at all the star systems and their planets. Learn about forgotten tribes, dangerous fauna, new hidden horrific threats, as well as new organizations. Better Worlds is packed with information that will expand your gaming experience and allow you to set up fantastic stories in the world of Cold and Dark. Explore the enormous Claret City or deep jungles of Zedo. Fight gang wars on the cutthroat, it says, fight gang wars on the cutthroat Zindos space station. It's got to be on the Zindos space station. Or a hunt for riches in the irradiated the Jala Badlands on Selene while fighting off raiders and mutants. This supplement is going to feature dozens of story seeds which will allow you to set up your game, 15 new characters and NPAs. Not sure what an NPA is. Everything from raiders to the vicious blood moray and the raw robotic automated weapon. New equipment such as the mobile mining operation. A host of new threats and hidden secrets waiting to be fought and discovered. Several new organizations and groups such as crime syndicates and the tribes. Of course, you need the Cold and Dark core book in order to use the Better World supplement. The physical Cold and Dark core book is available from the Modiphius website, and it is $41.80. Here's something really wild right now, though, and I'm talking about the core book. The core book of the PDF is a steal over at DriveThruRPG because it's available for $6.89. Wow, that is a huge difference between a physical core book and a PDF, because usually the PDF is about half the price of a physical book from the publisher, not published or printed by DriveThruRPG, because they do print on demand. So I wanted to point that out. Now, the supplement, Better Worlds, is available in PDF right now from Modiphius. It's not on DriveThruRPG yet. I think it is in the next couple of days. And you can get the PDF for $8.35. Interesting. I will point out, from what I know about Cold and Dark, it is for mature gamers. It is very mature subject matter. So if you're a fan of movies like Aliens, this is going to be along those lines. They mentioned the movie, what was it, Outland with Sean Connery? Yes, Rob, that is a steal. $7, and it's a 315-page core book. So I don't know if this is a mistake or something. I don't know. But I should point out also, whenever I talk about DriveThruRPG, if you are heading over to the website, please stop by thegaminggang.com beforehand, click on one of our banners for drive-thru, and if you happen to make a purchase, we luck out. We'll get a little portion of that purchase, and it all adds up. It really does. Okay, I'll be very honest, okay? I'm very, very transparent. So currently, on DriveThruRPG, I usually make about $3 a day. And I know people are like, come on, man, $3? Give me a break. So what? Big deal. But that's every day. And most months, I am actually able to pay for the hosting of thegaminggang.com. And I've pointed out before, our hosting isn't cheap because we get a lot of traffic. Don't base the traffic of thegaminggang.com based on the viewers of the Daily Dope, because it's night and day. But most months, I actually have enough to pay off our hosting for the month and pick up like a PDF, either as a giveaway or to review. So, all right. Yes, Outland, classic flick. Yes, it's it's High Noon in Space. That was back when Sean Connery was not getting a lot of great roles. Anybody out there remember Meteor? Oh, that was horrible, horrible movie. All right, so that is it for the news today. So there were a few things that I wanted to tackle real quick before I jump into my review of Amazing Tales. And the first thing I wanted to point out, because I like to talk about RPGs on Thursday. Earlier this month marked the 10th anniversary of the passing of Gary Gygax, Gary Gygax. And it was kind of, I thought it was later in March, because it was something I was going to talk about a little bit. I'm not going to, go on and on and on about it. But it was on March 4th. And I was surprised. I thought it was like March 18th. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. But I do want to mention that if it weren't for Gary Gygax, our hobby, and I'm not just talking about role-playing games, I'm talking about board games, card games, all of tabletop gaming, would be vastly different if it weren't for Gary Gygax and the late Dave Arneson. But, and I know people, there's some folks out there, I can't stand Gygax, never could stand him, blah, blah, blah. He was all right. He was a decent guy. He wasn't a perfect guy. Certainly was not perfect. He had a lot of problems, a lot of personal issues. But as a gamer, we really have to give thanks that Mr. Gygax was around, because it was his chainmail game that Dave Arneson, and the funny thing is, Gary Gygax was born in Chicago. And even when he was starting off TSR, he still worked in Chicago. Now, he lived up in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, but he lived in Chicago, and he used to commute back and forth by train every day to go to work for this insurance company. But so he's got a little bit of a Chicago connection and things like that. But Dave Arneson up in, I want to say it was Minneapolis. I know it's Minnesota, but I think he lived up in Minneapolis, had picked up chainmail, and he started tweaking it because chainmail was a historical miniatures game. And it was like, wow, this is really unique for the day. Nowadays, if you look at it, you're kind of like, but that's the same actually with the original Dungeons and Dragons too. Kind of look at it and you go, You can see the miniature influence because it was supposed to be a miniatures game. But anyway, so Dave Arneson had picked up Chainmail and had actually met Gygax at one of the first Gen Cons. I think it was the second Gen Con. And he had tweaked it to kind of include fantasy stuff and things like that. And I understand that Dave and Gary had a falling out over business and money. But from my understanding, Arneson was more an idea guy. He just had a hard time actually putting it together as a playable game. So when they would actually work with Arneson on stuff, that they would get just piles of paper with just notes written all over it, and they had to kind of decipher all that. And Gygax is the one who kind of made a game out of it. But I just want to say that a lot of folks out there, and some people are hypercritical about Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson, both of them. I have to say, without Gary Gygax, we would not probably be talking today about anything. We would not. I am pretty certain of that. There would be games of some sort, because of course they were not the first to create board games by any stretch. But our hobby would look way different. All right, so I just wanted to mention that. The other thing I want to talk about, and quickly, I am not going to go rehash the whole thing from yesterday. I was talking yesterday about how I had run across a post online talking about how to bring more women into wargaming, and it was Wargame Wednesday, so it was a topic I wanted to discuss. And some folks have checked out the video, and they've watched that portion of the video where I discuss where this article that I was kind of like, I'm not going to harp about the article. But the article was really saying that, it's up to gamers. The gamers need to be the goodwill ambassadors, and that's how we're going to bring more people in to gaming overall, but wargaming especially, and that really the responsibility lies on our shoulders. And at no point in this article was there any mention that there's some responsibility for the designers and publishers to bring people into the hobby. And I think I've gotten some comments on Twitter, some tweets back and forth on Twitter. Because I talked about some subjects in the past, I just didn't bring them up again yesterday. So some folks kind of got the misconception that my attitude was, it's not up to us as gamers to be welcoming to others in the hobby, or to strive for diversity in the hobby, or not be polite and treat everybody equally nicely in the hobby. I did kind of mention it a little bit, but I guess it was lost. And I didn't want anyone to think that I was trying to say that only game companies and game designers have a responsibility to bring in more people to the hobby and be welcoming. Of course, it's the responsibility is for all of us. I just didn't want to let game companies off the hook, and especially wargaming companies, because wargaming companies have been really behind the curve as far as inclusiveness and diversity and trying to appeal to people other than, and I mentioned it yesterday, the 70-year-old who likes to just use their tweezers and move stacks of hexes for hours on end. And there are companies that are like that, and they just recycle the same things over and over again. Same old boring mechanics, same old movement factor, attack factor, defense factor. That's your counter. There you go. And that's not drawing people into the hobby. It's not. It's old, it's tired, and it's boring. And it's boring for a lot of people who are wargamers too. So, but I guess people misunderstood what I was trying to say. So let me point out real quickly. Number one, I am completely against trolls and people who go out of their way to be rude. Anyone. It doesn't matter if they're a man, woman, what their race is, sexual orientation, any of that. There is no room for that in our hobbies. There just isn't. Now, is that ever going to go away? Of course not. because there are plenty of people out there who are just jerks. That's just how they are. And some trolls are in real life aren't even really that trollish. It's just because they have the ability to be anonymous online, where they feel that, oh yeah, well, you know, I'm going to say whatever and wind somebody up and freak them all out. There's no room in this hobby for that. There's no room in this hobby for people who are closed-minded or small-minded as well. And I've mentioned this before, and this is why I didn't want to rehash a lot of this stuff yesterday, because I've talked about these things before. I'm certainly welcoming to anyone who wants to get into this hobby, want to dip their toe in, see if this is fun stuff. Doesn't matter if they're looking at role-playing games or board games or collectible card games or war games, what have you. I am an ambassador for the whole thing. Does this make me an expert on things? No, it does not. And I have never ever claimed to be anyone other than someone who has spent decades playing games and who happens to have an opinion. That's it. So, but there's no room for people in our hobby who feel that they have this ownership of the hobby and it's only their hobby or their friends' hobbies. And I know a lot of people out there have run across people like this. I don't personally know anyone like that. I have never sat down at a gaming table, be it at a convention or someone's house or anywhere, with someone who really came across that way. But I know it does exist. So there is no ownership of the hobby, you know? Everyone is welcome. It is they always talk about in politics, it's an awfully large tent. And even though this is a small niche hobby, as far as anyone who wants to come and play, it is an awfully large tent. So it is our responsibility as gamers to introduce people to the hobby, but more importantly, to welcome people when they have been introduced to the hobby itself. Way I approach any convention that I go to, anytime I'm out in public, I know maybe it's kind of weird, but I am not out to ruin anyone's good time. And yes, when I'm at conventions and that, yes, I'm wearing a press pass or media pass or whatever. I do not use that as an excuse to like push in front of somebody in line or interrupt somebody talking to somebody, anything like that. And unfortunately, I have seen folks who are like that. But that's not my way, because I do not want to, as a weird way of putting it, I don't want to be walking on anyone's buzz. I am not here to ruin anyone's good time or enjoyment at a convention or show or sitting at a game table. And I would hope those of you who are watching, those of you who go to thegaminggang.com, believe the same way I do. So there you have it. Just wanted to kind of clear things up because, yes, because I did talk mainly, and I use the word onus, right? I said the onus isn't on the gamer. The onus is on the designers and the game companies, I should say, to draw people into the hobby. And for me, onus means it's your duty or responsibility, but it is mainly your duty and responsibility. Gamers, the reality is, gamers don't have to do anything. They can do whatever they want. If they want to be jerks, they can be jerks. They're not welcome at my table, and I certainly don't want to encounter them when I'm out and about playing games. But I mean, people have the right to be who they want to be. So to me, onus means it's more someone else's responsibility, right? I wasn't trying to say that gamers don't have a responsibility. We do. All right, so anyway, moving right along, that is it. So I want to talk about, hey, so I was talking about how tomorrow I'm going to review Epic Card Game from White Wizard Games. And unfortunately, I've pushed this off because something else had popped up in the mail. And I said, oh yeah, tomorrow I'm going to be reviewing this. And I am going to review this tomorrow if there's a show tomorrow. So just point that out. And I'll talk about that in a sec. So I'm going to review this. I am not going to push this back, but my mail came yesterday. And the fine folks over at Greenbrier Games sent me a box full of goodies. So next week, I'm going to take a look at the Grimslingers expansion, the Northern Territory. Yes, that just arrived. Rob says, good message. I've had people accuse me of being a social justice warrior. I am a liberal. I don't shy away from that fact. But I am also old school too. So I'm not one of these people where somebody has to completely agree with me for me to... And I have friends who are on all different sides of the political aisle because I don't use that to judge them. People's actions are what I use to judge them. But anyway, thanks, Rob. All right, so I'm going to take a look at this next week. I think we're going to do it on Monday. I'm going to look at this on Monday. Then I've got Of Dreams and Shadows. Hey, it's a pretty hefty box. So this also arrived. And this is kind of a dark fantasy game. It is not set in the Folklore of the Affliction universe. I should point that out. So I'm going to have that. I think that'll be Tuesday. I also received the Monster Within expansion for Of Dreams and Shadows. That I think I'll do the next week after. And then, you know what? I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I'm going to do because I'm going to swap that up a little bit. I think on Thursday I'll look at Of Dreams and Shadows because on Tuesday I will review Thanos Rising, Avengers Infinity War, which is from USAopoly. It's a tie-in, obviously enough, to the movie. And this is not in stores yet. So I'm sure there are some folks out there who are interested in, is this any good? Is this something I should be looking to pick up in early April? So I think I will do that. Then on Wednesday, I got my fingers crossed because I can't guarantee I'm going to get this to the table. But I want to review at any cost Metz 1870 from my good pal Herman Wutman. And that's from GMT Games. So that's sort of what's on the horizon. Okay, so without further ado, I want to take a look at Amazing Tales. It's written by Martin Lloyd with illustrations by, I know I'm going to get this wrong, Iris Mertens? I apologize, Iris. I'm pretty certain I did get your name incorrect, but I gave it the old college try. Hate when people say that. I gave it the old college try. Yeah, well, I went to college. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. I graduated too, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, yeah, I went to college. Yeah, I wasn't always, trying that hard. Anyway, Amazing Tales is available in PDF for $6.19 from DriveThruRPG. It's also available as print on demand in a standard hardcover for $18.58, as well as a premium, yikes, more cat hair floating around, in a premium edition for $26.01. All right, so I have the physical copy, so this is pretty cool. So I am going to get to look at the actual physical book. I'm going to get to show this off, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this as well. So Amazing Tales is really aimed at parents who have small children. And when I say small children, I'm talking about 4 and 5-year-olds. So unlike, say, a game like No Thank You Evil, which to me is aimed more at, like 8 or 9-year-old children. Now, I can't tell you specifically if that's how Monty Cook Games has promoted the game, but from what I've seen of it, that's about the age range, maybe a little bit lower. Whereas Amazing Tales is really kind of an introduction to role-playing games for small children, and it's really focused on the parent-child relationship, which I thought was pretty cool. All right, needed grab a sip there. So let's take a look. Let's crack this on open. It is 96 pages, and I have to admit, I had not seen any of the DriveThruRPG print-on-demand products before. This is nice. This is not cheesy or lousy. So But to be honest, I'm not sure if this is the standard edition or if this is the premium edition. I have the impression I think it's the standard edition. Right, so let's take a quick peek inside. See, it's a game for children who love adventures. For Maria, Lisa, and Ruben, the best adventure of all. I believe, I don't know for a fact, but I believe that these are Martin Lloyd's children. Because I have seen some pictures of Mr. Lloyd working on the game with one of his children in his lap or sitting next to him. So I believe that these are probably his children, or maybe his wife and 2 children. So in the content, we're going to see why tell amazing tales. Amazing tales in 1 page. Yes, that's right. You're looking at effectively a page of rules. So very, very easy. Like I said, this is aimed at telling stories with your small children. I like the artwork. I'll try to get a little closer up. Very cool artwork. This book, and as you'll see, the font is very large. So this book is not necessarily intended just to sit in the hands of the parent or parents. That it's a book that the smaller kids are going to page through. They're going to look at the pictures. Are they necessarily going to be reading the rules and the setting information, things like that? No. But I do like the artwork, and I appreciate the fact that the artwork is all from one artist, which a lot of times with self-published RPGs or RPGs from smaller companies, it's kind of a hodgepodge of art. You'll see some artwork and you'll say, oh wow, that's really nice, and then you'll see another and you'll think to yourself, what is that? It kind of takes you out of the experience a little bit of enjoying the role-playing game book. So I really did dig the artwork. Now, of course, is it the same sort of artwork that you would see, say, from Paizo or Wizards of the Coast? No, but it is very, very nicely done. And once again, remember the target audience of this game. And I'm going to point this out probably a couple of times because some folks might flip out when I share my review score. All right, so it talks about why tell amazing tales. It talks about the different settings of the game. There you go. Amazing tales in 1 page. Yep. So really, the reality of this, and you can play this game with kind of standard RPG dice, or you can play with simply a 6-sided die, or 6-sided dice, I should say. This boils everything down to pretty much just the basics. When do you roll dice? Now, I mean, it's kind of funny because the way I run a role-playing game, I roll dice when there's a possibility of failure, or you need to find out, there's some sort of conflict, and I don't necessarily mean physical conflict, but social conflict. 2 people are trying to achieve different results. Then I resort to the dice. I don't just sit there rolling dice for just the enjoyment of rolling dice. And I know some people love role-playing games where they're constantly rolling dice in that. If I run an adventure and everybody has a great time and maybe dice were rolled 15, 20 times in a session, to me, I think I've done my work. All right, so let's get a little closer look at some of the artwork too. And the artwork shares a diverse cast of characters. There's a lot of different settings. So we're going to talk about the settings here. Amazing heroes. Okay, so what is the hero's name? Their appearance, their skills. Kind of do a little short sheet about the characters. This is very, very bare. I don't want to say bare bones. I mean, the rules are bare bones, but this really has a cool vibe to it, to the game itself. All right, so for an example, to play Amazing Tales, you'll ideally have dice with 12, 10, 8, and 6 sides. You can get these at Game Store, blah, blah, blah. All right, then it says, see page 18 for more on dice and what to do if you only have 6-sided dice available. So if you want to tell a story, you don't necessarily have to sit there and be like, well, gotta go run out to the game store. It's like, I couldn't find my bag of dice that I've had for years when I started doing my kind of, kit-bashed fantasy RPG for Elliot and my nephew Cameron and his friends and that. And I was like, yeah, at the time I was going to use like Hero Quest, and I'm like, I can't find any 20-sided dice. So I had to go run out and buy some 20-sided dice, which turns out we're not even using 20-siders now. But anyway, so we got Captain Slim Jim telling an amazing tale. Don't over-prepare. Hold your ideas loosely. Ask lots of questions. Use the skills written on the story sheet. Give options. Build on your child's ideas. Story structure, starting with a bang. Some more artwork here. Drama and dice. Tips and tricks. Amazing magic. There we go. Once again. I dig the fact that I had an opportunity to get a physical book, as well as a PDF for the review. Talking about thrilling fights. Yep. Got the pirates there. Tips and tricks. Gaming with kids. Pick a good place to play, whether snuggled up on the sofa or sitting at the table. Make sure everyone is comfortable. Make sure everyone's gone to the bathroom. That's important. And make sure you got a good place to roll dice. I don't know if you're going to be able to roll dice snuggled up on the sofa. Introducing the settings. So we got the Deep Dark Forest, Magical Kingdoms long ago, Pirate Seas, and Adventures in the Stars. And then we'll start seeing the story hooks. So the Deep Dark Wood, we're talking about fairies, flying, talking animals. The game itself is very reminiscent, in my opinion, to like Fate and Fudge, but certainly no, and honestly, Fate and Fudge are not crunchy games, crunchy rule sets, but far less crunch. But sort of the whole, hey, you got a concept for the hero. Okay, what are some of the skills the hero has or aspects of that hero? Very, very quickly get into the character creation and get into the story. You're not sitting there rolling 3d6s and okay, strength, con, anything like that. So here we've got all these different story nuggets, little hooks for making up stories in the Deep Dark Wood. Then we've got Magical Kingdom. So, King Arthur, knights and ladies and maidens and dragons and, dragons. Well, yeah, I guess dragons are in. No, well, yeah. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, but that's not really Lamort d'Arthur, so it's not really Arthurian canon, but anyway, but that's what the focus is here. And the artwork is just really appealing to kids. Really is. What? A lady knight? A girl who's a knight? What? Sure, of course, why not? This talks about knights in armor, wizards. So this is, kind of along the lines of if you want to kind of do a little D&D-ish game with your kids, perfect. It talks about making up the stories. Then we got the story seeds. Adventures on the Pirate Seas. Because amazingly enough, pirates are still super popular. Look at John Wick's 7 Seas. That's doing pretty well for him. And this is actually from the cover. Nice. Then we've got the story seeds again. Adventures Among the Stars. You want to do a little science fiction? Well, maybe you have a little Star Wars-ish flavor. Well, I think probably 5-6-year-old children probably haven't seen too much Star Wars. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a parent. I don't have kids, but I don't know if I would sit and watch Star Wars with my 5-year-old. I don't know. It might be a little too intense. But hey, you never know. So these are science fiction stories. You do a little Flash Gordon, a little Buck Rogers, whatever you like. Scientists and inventors. Alien creatures. Now, one thing I do point out too is, although this is focused on small children, there is conflict. Because even in fairy tales, there's some sort of conflict. So, but of course, as the parent, as the person who's running the game, you're going to make this however you want to. Oh, Russell Higgins has popped in. Sorry, Russell, I didn't see you pop up in chat there. I was too busy yapping. Good to see you again. All right, so we've got the robots, then the final few pages are talking about inventing things, knowing things, navigating the stars. A little bit of info for the parents, how to make up stories for adventures among the stars. What? There's no Lovecraftian Cthulhu mythos? What? No. Jeez. Then there's an example right there. There's your story sheet. There's your hero for your child. My hero's name is, my hero is good at, and other important things about my hero. And of course, if your child wants to draw a picture of the hero, and then there's a little bit of an afterword. So there you have Amazing Tales. And like I said, I am really impressed by this production from Drive-Thru RPG. Because I have seen some print-on-demand stuff that was pretty shabby. Right, so what do I think of Amazing Tales? Well, I have to point out, I do not have children, okay? Which is actually going to be somebody's boon out there when I finish talking about my thoughts on the game. I don't have children. Of course I have my niece and nephew, but they're too old for something like this. So it's not as if I was able to take this game and apply some of the principles that are in the game to an actual game session. That being said, I've been running role-playing games for a long time. I don't know if I want to tell you how long. Almost 40 years. So, I have quite a lot of experience as a game master of some sort. I really like what Martin Lloyd has done with Amazing Tales. It's not loaded down with a bunch of rules because it's aimed at a specific age group. It's aimed at children who are probably not old enough to experience, say, like No Thank You Evil, or start moving into, D&D, or Third Eye Games has Mermaid Adventures, which is for kids, but not as young. So Rob chimes in, how long, Jeff? Yes, I just told you, almost 40 years running RPGs. But I really dig it. I really like the book. I like the fact there's only one thing I'm a little critical about, but it's not really going to be that big a deal. I like the artwork. I like the consistency of the artwork. I like it's a kind of a sweet sort of approach to running role-playing games. But then again, it's not like sugary sweet. It's not, there's no conflict. Everybody gets along. Everybody's holding hands and things like that. It's not the Care Bears role-playing game. It is a role-playing game that is made to really replace a parent sitting there reading old fairy tales and things like that to their children when they go to bed, or when it's a little bit of downtime, or, just like I said, snuggle time on the couch, where, back in the day when I was a small kid, yeah, my mom would read me stories, or my dad would read me stories. Well, rather than just reading a story, you and your children get to create your own story. And I really, really dug that. And it doesn't dummy down anything. Now, granted, the approach is also where a child could sit and read through the book, probably not at 4 or 5, maybe a little older than that. So it's not like dummied down as it's the child would be reading it. But then again, it's not overly complex. Whereas, because I have seen some of these introductory role-playing games that are aimed at children, and I think, what? Now, I'm not talking about No Thank You Evil. Not talking about that. But I have kind of gotten a glimpse at some of the other games that are aimed at this target audience, and I thought, wow, that's really. I mean, am I not giving small kids enough credit? Because I don't know, seems a little maybe over their head. Everything seems very appropriate for the ages of, say, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8. By the time children start getting 9, 10 these days, I don't think they really sit around, doing story time at night. I don't know. Once again, I don't have children. So overall, because I really do dig Amazing Tales, and I think this is a very, very well done book, very, very nicely presented. I didn't run across any major typos or anything like that, which I know I'm kind of like the grammar police in real life. So that was cool. I actually give Amazing Tales a 9 out of 10. I think, and I know people are thinking, seriously, for like a kid's role-playing game? Yes, because I'm looking at who is it for. Now, if I were sitting here talking about Amazing Tales and I was like, okay, so if you're a big fan of Pathfinder, you got to get your hands. Absolutely not. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't be talking like that. But for parents out there, and it's even a great introduction too for parents who aren't familiar with role-playing games, who have heard about role-playing games over the years, or maybe they've got some friends who do role-playing games and they've never played. It introduces them very gently into the hobby. I think it's really, really nicely done. And, excuse me, I also have to point out, in PDF, now granted, it's 96 pages. It's not a ton of pages. But in PDF, it's $6.19. I mean, that is a pretty sweet deal. Especially if you start looking around at some of this stuff. Even in a hardcover at $18.58, I think that's a pretty good deal, too, for the standard hardcover, which I think this is. I don't know. Because if you think about it, when we look at some of the bigger, I shouldn't say bigger, look at the big role-playing game companies, let's say Paizo, Wizards of the Coast, you see 120, 140 page core rule books for $40. So 96 pages. It's got enough artwork that's going to keep the children engaged. Your kids will want to flip through it and look at the pictures and all that. But there is plenty of gaming content in the book as well. So really good deal. I really did, I did dig Amazing Tales. So big thumbs up. All right, so that is pretty much it for the show. I did want to mention, earlier in the show I pointed out things have been pretty crazy today. At this point in time, I don't want to really go into too much detail. I may not have a show tomorrow. I can't guarantee that there's no show. Right now, I think it's about 50-50. Because I may have to do something for my brother and sister-in-law regarding their children. But I don't know for a fact. I will actually know a little more later on tonight. So, and of course, I'll tweet it out. I'll toss it out on Facebook. I don't really hang out on Facebook anymore. I don't know. It's just, Facebook just seems way different these days. Number one, I hate the fact that if there's a video on Facebook that you want to check out, you have to sit there and you start watching it, and then about 2-3 minutes in, boom, it's like an advertisement. It's like, come on, give me a break. Plus, Facebook, I have, 600 and some followers for the gaming gang over there. And, Facebook only shows the posts that go up, because I just do an auto post to Facebook. That's why I'm saying I don't really hang out there too much. But they may share that post with 5% of the people who actually follow the gaming gang. It'd be one thing if it was just strangers in the ether, but no, about 5% of the followers to the gaming gang actually see a post. Sometimes it's less than that. I'm like, whatever, Facebook. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I'm usually doing stuff on Twitter. All right, so that's today's show. When you're not watching the Daily Dope, be sure to go visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Did I say when you're not watching the Gaming Gang, or did I say when you're not watching the Daily Dope? I don't know. Like I said, it's been a weird day so far. Tomorrow I'll be back. I'll be reviewing, well, if I'm back tomorrow. If there's a show tomorrow, I will be reviewing Epic Card Game from White Wizard Games. Once again, I am Jeff McAleer. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, enjoy your Thursday, and I'll see you soon.